Hello, I am Drodio, the CEO of Storytell. Excited to show you around our platform. This is my VIP tour of the things that I love the most and see our users loving about the Storytell platform. I'm going to go into depth on some different personas, but first I'll show you how the Storytell platform works. This is all public, fictional data, so nothing private or sensitive in here. On the left side, you can see that we have this space where we have collections. A collection is a place where you can load content and invite people. There are two different types of collections. There's personal and shared. They work exactly the same. With shared collections, you'll see a little invite button appear, and you have the ability to invite specific users, anyone with the link, or your entire company into a shared collection. I recommend that you use shared collections as much as you can because that allows you to put data in places where the whole company can get access to it. If it's sensitive, put it in personal. You should also understand how to get data into Storytell. Under the prompt bar, there is an add assets, and you can add files. You can also paste content in. You can load in web links. You can load in YouTube links. You can do the same thing down here. It's exactly the same, these two buttons. This will always be under the prompt bar no matter where you are. Also, you can see that we have these sub-collections. So I've got Storytell Personas here, and below that is Persona Analyst. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So now I am in a sub-collection, and you can see up here that I've gone into Storytell Personas, Persona Analyst. Now I can see that there are some files in here. And you can see that some of these files are in even another level of the sub-collection. I can click the little arrow here to open this up. And now I can see that I have 2024 financial reports, 2024 sales reports, etc. So when I'm in the parent collection, like I'm in Persona Analyst, I can see all the files that are in all of that collection and the sub-collections. And we can see there are JPEGs, PDFs, PNGs, docs, Excel files, all sorts of text files. Storytell can process most kinds of assets. All right, let's try asking a question. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a question about two relative collections. And so on the left here, you can see that I've got 2024 financial reports, and then with sales reports, what I'll do is I'll say, tell me how at 2024 financial reports, and as I start to type this, you'll see, type it correctly, you'll see that the name of the collection pops up here. So now I can choose this collection, and now I'm going to ask a question relates to at 2024 sales reports. And now what I'm doing is I'm asking a question of all of the data that is in these two relative collections. So not just one file, but many files in each. How does all this data relate to this data? Now, what's awesome is if you have the Improve It button on, which it's on by default here, Storytell will give you a recommended version of your question. So you can see that I typed this, but what Storytell is actually doing is it's saying, hey, I've got a better version of the question here that I think you want to ask. And what I can do is I can edit that question if I want to, or I can just send it. So I'm going to go ahead and just send it in a second with this arrow right here. Before I do, also just want to tell you about the dynamic LLM. By default, we pick the best large language model to answer each of your questions. If you'd like to override that, you can. You can say, I really want to use Claude 4 to answer this question, and you can choose it, and it'll show up here. What we believe to be true is that you shouldn't have to know what the best and latest large language model is for your type of question. Let us figure that out for you. If you want to override it, you can. Also up here, we have the ability to ask the question of just the knowledge that's in this Persona Analyst collection and its sub-collections, or we can layer in foundational training knowledge, which is what we recommend, or we can just ask it of public knowledge, which we would not use any of your private data. You probably don't want that except for times when you don't want to use your data and you want to ask a question. Okay, so Let's go ahead and send this question and let's talk about what we get back. So you can see that there is a processing step here, and it very quickly goes into an answer step when it's done processing. I can click on the prompt to expand it or collapse it, and we can see that Storytell is answering the question. It is using 29 assets, so there were 29 assets in these collections. So we're asking a question of 29 pieces of data. We can also see that there are these purple citations. So the citations, I can click on one and it tells me where the actual data came from. So this is from the actual source asset. I can click on another one here to see it again. So I can trust the answer. You can also see, let's take a look at part of this answer. There's a little box around the answer here. And what that is the ability for me to get more depth or explore the answer more deeply. So by default, Storytell will help me understand just what's in this box. So there's this little menu that pops up, explain it to me like I'm 5, or get a more in-depth answer, get more detail on it, or rewrite this for a different audience, for brevity, or for a more technical audience, or even for a different personality type. So there's a lot that you can do with this. You can also say, I want more detail, not just on that purple box, but on all of this. And so you can highlight that with your mouse. And now you can say, I want to, for example, maybe I want to get a more in-depth answer on just these 2 paragraphs. So when I do that, Storytell will start to type the more in-depth answer. So I went from 2 paragraphs of data into a lot more detail here. And so this is the beauty of Storytell, is I can reach more deeply into the data and pull out a lot more. A couple other things to show you. We have the ability to translate the answer into a different language. Some users love that. You can share the answer by hitting share. We create a link that you can then share with others who don't have Storytell accounts. I'm going to go ahead and open an incognito window and I'll paste the share link in. I can read the answer, but I won't be able to chat with it. I can just see what Storytell said. So I can't actually chat with it. In order to do that, I would need to have a Storytell account, which you can invite me to have a full Storytell account if you'd like to. I'll circle back to that at the end. I mentioned it at the beginning. Also, you can see that we chose Gemini 2.5 Flash to answer this. We also looked at other Gemini 2.5 Pro and Claude 4 Sonnet. If you want, you can regenerate the answer with a different large language model. Maybe you do want to use Claude 4 Sonnet to regenerate the answer. Storytell will regenerate the answer using the model that you've asked for. So you can get the answer with OpenAI versus Anthropic or Gemini or DeepSeek. We have a US safe version of DeepSeek running on US servers, enterprise safe. Okay, a few other things just to show you and then I'll let you get to it. You can see that at the end of a Storytell answer, we have a set of prompt suggestions. And so prompt suggestions are other questions you might want to ask based on the questions that you did ask. So it can help you go deeper. That's, I think, a good example of the analyst use case. There are so many others here. I'll just focus on customer support for a second. With customer support, I might ask a question. We can see that there's a collection called churn risk. And this churn risk collection here has different CSVs and text files about renewal contract terms and competitor insights and product usage, etc. So I could say, tell me what customers are at churn risk. So this is taking all of that based on customer feedback. And so now I'm taking all of the data that I have in customer feedback and I'm comparing it to all the data that's in churn risk. Again, it's giving me a recommended version of the question here. And I can just send it if I just want to send it. I send it with this button right here. And now Storytell is going to process. I can open up processing and I can see it process here. And then once it's processed, it's using 4 assets in scope here. It's going to give me the answer. And we can see here the answer that I'm getting from all of that data. So that is a quick entree into Storytell. I love understanding what use cases you are looking to build for, what we can do to support you. I would be very happy to jump on a call and brainstorm with you, strategize about ways that you might be able to use Storytell to feel limitless. That is why we exist. Our core purpose is to help our users feel limitless and turn all of the unstructured data in your company into a strategic asset. Looking forward to getting to know you.